The recording started 3 seconds before I hit him. I know because later, when the video went viral across every gossip site and underground forum in the city, I replayed it frame by frame. 3 seconds of me standing there in my stained apron, flour on my sleeves, hair falling out of its ponytail. 3 seconds of him leaning close with that smug expression, lips curled like he already owned my answer. Then the kick. Then chaos. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let me ask you something first. How are you doing today? Wherever you are watching this from, whatever weather is happening outside your window, I hope you are comfortable. Because this story, this absolutely insane chapter of my life, requires you to settle in. Grab your coffee. Get cozy. You're going to want to hear every detail. Because here is what I have learned about karma, about justice, about the universe paying attention when you think nobody is watching. Sometimes the person who thinks they have all the power, all the control, all the cards stacked in their favor, they walk into a situation so confident that they forget to ask one simple question. Who exactly am I dealing with? My name is Elena Rossi, and this is the story of how I went from being a broke, exhausted single mother working double shifts at a downtown diner to becoming the woman who publicly humiliated the most dangerous man in the city with one kick. The woman who made a Mafia boss fall to his knees, not out of respect, but because his legs literally gave out when my shin connected with his jaw. The woman who somehow, against all logic and survival instinct, made that same man fall completely, obsessively, terrifyingly in love with me. Before we get there, before I tell you about the fight that changed everything, I need you to understand something about me. I need you to see who I was before that day. Because the Elena standing in that diner parking lot, the one who chose violence over submission, she did not appear out of nowhere. She was buried, hidden, locked away behind years of grief and responsibility and the kind of bone-deep exhaustion that makes you forget you were ever anything other than tired. I was 28 years old, and I felt 50. Every morning started the same way. 5:30 alarm. Stumble to the bathroom. Stare at the face in the mirror that looked more and more like a stranger. When did those lines appear around my eyes? When did my hands start looking like my mother's hands, all knuckles and dry skin and calluses from scrubbing dishes? Wake up, Mara. My daughter. My entire world. 10 years old with my dark hair and her father's green eyes. The father who left before she was born when he realized a baby would interfere with his music career. Last I heard, he was playing guitar in subway stations in another state. Never sent $1. Never sent a birthday card. Never acknowledged that he created a human being who asks about him sometimes, late at night when she thinks I am asleep. Get Mara dressed. Pack her lunch. Walk her to school 6 blocks away because we could not afford the bus pass this month.
Kiss her for it.
Watch her disappear through those heavy school doors and feel my heart walk away from me like it does every single day. Then the diner. Marco's place. Downtown, wedged between a dry cleaner and a store that sold phone accessories. Not fancy. Not trendy. The kind of place where truckers stopped for coffee at 4 in the morning and office workers grabbed lunch specials on their breaks. The vinyl booths were cracked. The floor tiles were chipped. The coffee was terrible but cheap, which meant people kept coming back. I had been working there for 6 years. Since Mara was 4. Since I finally admitted that my dreams of competitive fighting, of following in my father's footsteps, of making something of the decade of training he poured into me before he died, those dreams were not going to pay rent. You want to know what I believed back then? About life, about how things work, about what people deserve. I believed that if you worked hard enough, things would get better. That keeping your head down and being reliable and never complaining would eventually be rewarded. I believed that good people got good outcomes and bad people faced consequences. I believed that loving your child with everything you had, sacrificing every dream and comfort and moment of rest, that would be enough to give her a decent life. I believed that the world was fundamentally fair. Looking back now, I want to shake that version of myself. I want to grab her by the shoulders and scream, "Wake up. The world is not fair. Hard work does not guarantee anything. And sometimes the people with the most power are the ones who deserve it the least." But I did not know that yet. So I smiled at customers who snapped their fingers at me. I cleaned up after people who left messes they would never make in their own homes. I worked doubles when Marco asked, which was always because my tips were good.
Customers liked me.
I had that natural thing, that warmth that made strangers feel comfortable.
They told me about their lives.
Their problems, their kids and divorces and health issues. And I listened. I always listened. Because what else did I have to do while I refilled their coffee for the fourth time? I made $11 an hour plus tips. On a good day, I walked out with maybe $90. On a bad day, $40. I split a 2-bedroom apartment with Mara on the east side, the kind of neighborhood where you heard sirens every night and kept your windows locked even in summer. But it was ours. We had food. We had heat in winter. Mara had her own room with posters of her favorite singers on the walls and a stuffed elephant she had owned since she was 2. She was happy, safe,
Loved.
that was enough, I told myself. That had to be enough. What I never told anyone, not even my closest friend Carla, who worked the morning shift, was that some nights after Mara fell asleep, I would stand in the bathroom and practice the combinations my father taught me. Jab, cross, hook. Front kick, roundhouse, spinning back kick. Just shadow movements, no power behind them, just the muscle memory refusing to die completely. My father, Giovanni Rossi. He ran a small gym on the south side, one of those old-school places with heavy bags hanging from chains, and a boxing ring that had seen better days and weights that probably violated every safety code in existence. He trained fighters, real fighters, people who competed nationally, internationally, people who won titles.
And he trained me.
From the time I was 8 years old, I was in that gym 6 days a week. School, homework, gym. That was my life. I loved it. Loved the way my body felt when it moved correctly, all the pieces working together. Loved the sound of my shin hitting the heavy bag. Loved watching my father's face light up when I nailed a new technique. He said I had something special. Not just skill, but that mental thing that separates good fighters from great ones. The ability to stay calm under pressure. To think 3 moves ahead. To take a hit and not fall apart. By the time I was 18, I had won 3 national championships in kickboxing. I was ranked 7th in my weight class internationally.
Sponsors were starting to reach out.
My father and I had plans. Real plans. Training camps in Thailand. A professional debut at 20. Then he died. Heart attack.
Sudden.
One morning he woke up feeling fine. By afternoon he was gone. I was 19.
Mara was not born yet.
I was still dating the musician who would abandon us both. The gym closed. The sponsors disappeared. Without my father as coach, I had nobody. And even if I did, I could not afford to train full-time. Could not afford the gym memberships, the equipment, the medical clearances, the travel to competitions. So I gave it up. Put it away. Buried that entire chapter of my life like a time capsule I would never open again. I became a waitress instead. A mother instead. A completely different person instead. And I told myself that was fine. That sacrifice was what parents did. That Mara's stability mattered more than my dreams. Most days, I believed it. But sometimes late at night, practicing those shadow combinations in the bathroom, I would catch my reflection in the mirror and see something in my eyes that terrified me. Something angry. Something hungry. Something that wanted to break free and hit something, anything, until my knuckles bled and my lungs burned and I felt alive again.
I never told anyone about that part. So that was my life.
Wake up.
Work. Parent.
Sleep.
Repeat.
Day after day. Month after month. Year after year. Watching my daughter grow up beautiful and smart and kind, telling myself that was the victory that mattered. And then Luca Leonardo walked into my diner.
Not that day.
Not the day everything changed. Before that, about 4 months before, he came in late afternoon, which was unusual. That time slot was dead, the lunch rush over and dinner crowd not yet started. Usually just me and whatever cook was on shift, prepping and cleaning. The moment he stepped through the door, I knew he was different. Not because of how he looked, though that was striking enough. Tall, broad-shouldered, moving with the kind of confidence that comes from never doubting you belong anywhere. Dark hair that fell naturally away from his face, like he had just run his hands through it.
Sharp jaw.
Eyes so dark they looked black in the diner's fluorescent lighting. But it was not his appearance that made every instinct in my body go quiet and alert. It was the way he carried himself. The way the two men with him scanned the room before he sat down. The way he chose the corner booth with his back to the wall and clear sight lines to both exits. The way he looked at me when I approached with a menu and water, really looked at me, not through me the way most customers did. I should have been afraid. Later, when I learned who he was, what he did, I realized I should have been terrified. But in that moment, I just felt seen. He ordered coffee. Black. Sat there for an hour reading something on his phone, occasionally glancing up to watch the street through the window. His men did not order anything. They just sat. Waited. When he left, he put $100 bill on the table for a $3 coffee. I tried to run after him with the change. He was already in his car, a sleek black vehicle that probably cost more than I would make in 5 years. He looked at me through the window, smiled slightly, and drove away. That happened 6 more times over the next 4 months. Always late afternoon. Always the corner booth. Always coffee, black, no food. Always $100 bill. I stopped trying to give back the change after the second time. He clearly did not want it. I started recognizing the pattern of his visits. Every 2 weeks, almost exactly. I found myself paying attention to the calendar, wondering if today would be one of his days. Wondering why a man who clearly had money, who clearly had options, kept coming back to our sad little diner for terrible coffee. I never asked. Never made conversation beyond the required pleasantries. Something about him made me cautious. Made me careful. But I noticed things. The way his jaw tightened when his phone buzzed with certain messages. The way his eyes followed families when they came in, children laughing and parents tired but happy. The way he always watched me when he thought I was not looking. Carla noticed too. She cornered me in the kitchen after his 4th visit. You know who that is, right? I did not. I told her so. She looked at me like I had grown a second head. That is Luca Leonardo. The Leonardo family. You seriously do not know? I did not follow that world. Did not pay attention to the underground networks and family names and territorial disputes that ran beneath the surface of the city, like electrical wiring. I had enough problems without adding mob politics to my awareness. Carla filled me in, anyway. The Leonardos controlled most of the downtown area. Protection rackets. High-end gambling. Money laundering through legitimate businesses. Nothing violent if they could help it, but violence was always an option. Always available. And Luca was the boss. Had been for 3 years, since his father stepped down. After that conversation, I started paying attention to the news differently. Started noticing the names that came up in articles about organized crime. Started recognizing faces. It did not change anything. He still came in every 2 weeks. Still ordered coffee. Still left $100 bills. Still watched me with those dark, unreadable eyes. And I still served him professionally and kept my distance and tried not to think about why a man like that, a man who could have anything he wanted, kept choosing our diner. I had no idea he was choosing me. That he had been choosing me from the very first visit. That he was waiting for an excuse, any excuse, to finally speak to me about something other than coffee. And then my daughter scratched his car. If you are still with me, if you are listening to this story from wherever you are in the world, I need you to understand that what happened next was not romantic. Not at first. It was terrifying and absurd and infuriating. But it was also the moment when everything I had buried, everything I had hidden, everything I had convinced myself was gone forever, came roaring back to life. Now let me tell you about the day my quiet life exploded.
It was a Tuesday. Slow day.
3 tables during lunch, all regulars who knew what they wanted before I even approached. I was thinking about Mara's parent-teacher conference next week, wondering if I could switch shifts with Carla to make it on time. My phone buzzed. Mara's name on the screen. I stepped into the kitchen to answer. Marco hated when we took personal calls on the floor.
Mom?
Her voice was small.
Scared.
That particular tone that meant something had happened, and she was not sure if she was in trouble. What is wrong, baby? I did something bad. My stomach dropped. Bad could mean anything. Bad could mean she failed a test. Bad could mean she got in a fight. Bad could mean she was hurt. What did you do? I scratched a car. I was playing near the street and my ball bounced, and I ran after it, and I guess my backpack hit a car, and now there is a scratch, and this man saw, and he has my backpack, and he says he wants to talk to you, and Mom, I am so sorry, I did not mean to, I promise. The words tumbled out in a panicked rush. I could hear tears underneath them. Where are you? Outside the school. He is here. He is waiting. Every protective instinct I had went into high alert. A strange man has my daughter's backpack. A strange man wants to talk to me. A strange man is waiting outside her school. Put him on the phone. A pause. Shuffling sounds. Then a voice I recognized instantly.
Elena.
I believe your daughter, and I need to discuss some property damage.
Luca Leonardo.
And in that moment, I knew my quiet life was over. The walk from the diner to Mara's school took 12 minutes if I ran. I made it in 8. My manager, Marco, yelled something about my shift not being over, but I was already out the door, apron still tied around my waist, my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. Every terrible possibility ran through my mind in those 8 minutes. Every news story I had ever heard about children and strangers and things that happen when parents are not paying attention. I burst around the corner near the school and saw them immediately. Mara stood next to the black car I had seen dozens of times in the diner parking lot. The vintage one that looked like it belonged in a museum, all sleek lines and chrome details. She looked impossibly small next to it, her pink backpack clutched to her chest, her eyes red from crying. And next to her, leaning casually against the driver's side door like he had all the time in the world, was Luca Leonardo. He straightened when he saw me approaching. His 2 men, the same ones who always accompanied him to the diner, stood a few feet away. They did not move, did not speak, just watched. I reached Mara and pulled her behind me in one motion, putting my body between her and him. She grabbed onto the back of my uniform, her fingers twisting in the fabric. Are you hurt? Asked without taking my eyes off Luca.
No, Mara whispered.
I am sorry, Mom.
I am so sorry.
Luca raised his hands slightly, palms out. A gesture meant to be reassuring. It was not.
She is fine, he said.
Completely unharmed. I would never hurt a child, Elena. I hope you know that. The way he said my name made my skin prickle. Like we were familiar. Like we knew each other beyond coffee orders and $100 tips. What do you want? My voice came out harder than I intended.
Good.
He gestured to the car behind him. Your daughter accidentally scratched my vehicle. It is minor. Barely noticeable. But it happened, and I think we should discuss how to resolve the situation. I looked at the car, walked closer, still keeping Mara behind me, and examined the passenger side. There it was. A thin scratch, maybe 6 inches long, barely deep enough to catch the light. You could miss it if you were not looking for it. Something about the whole situation felt wrong.
Off.
A man like Luca Leonardo, with his resources and connections and $100 tips for $3 coffee, cared about a scratch that would cost maybe $200 to fix? I will pay for it, I said. Whatever it costs. I can give you my information, and we can handle this properly. Insurance, body shop, whatever you need. He smiled. Not a warm smile. An amused one. Like I had said something entertaining. I do not want your money, Elena. Then what do you want? He pushed off from the car and took 2 steps toward me. Not threatening. Just closing the distance. Making this conversation more intimate than it should be on a public sidewalk in the middle of the afternoon. I want to make you an offer. A way to settle this debt that does not involve money. Because we both know you cannot actually afford to fix this car. This vehicle is worth more than you make in 3 years. The paint alone requires a specialist who charges $500 an hour. My jaw tightened. He was not wrong. But the way he said it, that casual mention of my financial situation, made anger flare hot in my chest. So what is your offer? Behind me, Mara had gone very quiet. I could feel her fear, the way her breathing had changed. Part of me wanted to grab her and run. Part of me knew that running from a man like Luca Leonardo was not an option. He looked at me for a long moment, Those dark eyes traveling over my face like he was memorizing something. Like this moment mattered in ways I did not understand yet. Then he said the words that changed everything. Fight me or marry me. Your choice. Do one of those things, and we forget the scratch ever happened. Your daughter goes home. You go back to work. No debt. No problem. The world seemed to tilt sideways. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline, waiting for him to laugh and say he was joking. But his expression did not change. He was completely serious. You cannot be serious, I said. I am always serious, Elena. Especially about things I want. You want to fight me? Or marry me? Those are my options? Those are your options. Over a scratch that probably costs $200 to fix? Over a scratch that gave me a reason to finally have this conversation. The honesty of that statement stunned me into silence for a moment. He had been waiting, planning, looking for an excuse to approach me about something other than coffee. And my daughter, my sweet scare daughter who had been playing with a ball near the wrong car, had given him that excuse. The anger I felt was different now. Colder. More focused. Mara squeezed my hand. Mom, can we just go? Not yet, baby. I kept my eyes on Luca. This is insane. You know that, right? This entire situation is completely insane. He shrugged. Maybe. But those are still your options. Fight or marry. Choose one, and this all goes away. And if I choose neither, then we have a problem. Your daughter damaged my property. I could press charges. Make this official. Get lawyers involved. I imagine that would be expensive for you. Time-consuming. Stressful. Or you could choose one of my very simple options and walk away clean. It was not a threat. Not exactly. But the implication was clear. He held all the power here. He could make my life extremely difficult if he wanted to. And we both knew I could not afford difficult. I looked at him standing there in his expensive clothes with his expensive car and his casual confidence that the world would bend to accommodate whatever he wanted. I thought about the last 6 years of my life. The exhaustion. The poverty. The constant scrambling to make rent and keep food on the table and pretend that everything was fine when nothing was fine. I thought about my father. About the gym. About the fighter I used to be before life crushed that part of me into something small and hidden and forgotten. And I thought about this man, this criminal who thought he could buy or intimidate his way into whatever he wanted, standing here giving me an ultimatum like I was property he could acquire. Something in me cracked. Or maybe it woke up. Either way, the Elena who had been sleepwalking through life for 6 years suddenly opened her eyes. I will fight you, I said. Luca's expression changed. Just slightly. A flicker of surprise before the amusement returned. You will fight me? He repeated it like he wanted to make sure he heard correctly. Yes. You said those were my options. Fight or marry. I choose fight. Elena, he said my name gently now, almost concerned. I do not think you understand what you are agreeing to. I am not suggesting an argument. I mean an actual physical fight. You and me. No rules. No referee. Just a fight until one of us can no longer continue. I know what a fight is. Do you? Because I am considerably larger than you. Stronger. Trained. I do not want to hurt you, but if you insist on this, I will not hold back just because you are a woman. Good, I said. I would be insulted if you did. He studied me for a long moment. I could see him reassessing, trying to figure out if I was bluffing. If I was brave, or just stupid. If I had any idea what I was agreeing to. I did. For the first time in years, I knew exactly what I was doing. When? He asked. Now. Right here. Let us get this over with. He laughed. Actually laughed. A genuine sound of surprise and delight. No. Not here. Too public. Too many witnesses. My reputation is bad enough without videos of me fighting a woman going viral. We will do this properly. Tonight. 8 o'clock. I will send a car to pick you up. I do not need your car. Tell me where, and I will be there. He pulled out his phone, typed something, and showed me the screen. An address on the industrial side of town. Warehouse District. The kind of area where people did not ask questions about noise or blood or why expensive cars showed up late at night.
Come alone, he said.
No police. No friends. No recording devices. Just you and me settling this debt like adults.
Fine. He smiled again.
That same amused expression that made me want to hit him already. I will see you tonight, Elena. Try not to be too nervous. Then he got in his car and drove away, his men following in a separate vehicle.
Just like that.
Like we had arranged a business meeting instead of a fight that would probably end with me in the hospital. I stood there for a moment, my hand still holding Mara's, trying to process what had just happened. What I had just agreed to. Mom? Mara's voice was small again. Are you really going to fight that man? I looked down at her scared eyes and tear-stained cheeks, and the backpack she was still clutching like a shield. Yes, I said. But it is going to be okay. I promise. But he is so big. And you're just a waitress. Just a waitress. The words hurt more than they should have. Because she was right. That was all she had ever seen me be. A waitress. A tired mother who came home smelling like grease and coffee and carried stress in every line of her body. She had never seen the fighter. Had never known that version of me existed. I am more than that, baby. I used to be something else. Before you were born. Before everything changed. And tonight, that person is coming back. We walked home in silence. Mara kept looking up at me like she was seeing a stranger. Maybe she was. When we got to our apartment, I made her dinner. Mac and cheese from a box because it was cheap and she loved it. I helped her with her homework, even though my mind was somewhere else entirely. I gave her a bath and read her a story and tucked her into bed. Then I called Carla. She answered on the second ring. Girl, Marco is furious. You just ran out in the middle of your shift. What happened? I need you to watch Mara tonight. Just for a few hours. 8 until maybe 11.
Can you do that?
A pause. Where are you going? I am going to fight Luca Leonardo. Silence. Then what? Long story. Mara scratched his car. He gave me an ultimatum. Fight or marry. I chose fight. Elena, are you out of your mind? That man could kill you. Literally kill you. He is not some drunk guy at a bar throwing sloppy punches. He is trained. Connected. Dangerous. I know who he is. Then you know this is suicide.
It is not suicide, Carla.
I have training. Real training. I just have not used it in a long time. Another pause. What kind of training? The kind that won national championships. The kind my father spent 10 years teaching me before he died. The kind I buried when I became a mother, because I thought that part of my life was over. I heard her exhale slowly on the other end. You never told me you were a fighter. I never told anyone. It did not seem relevant. But tonight it is very relevant. She agreed to watch Mara. She tried to talk me out of going. She said all the sensible things. Call the police. Get a lawyer. Run. Hide. Anything but walking into a warehouse to fight a man who had probably killed people. But I was done being sensible. Done hiding. Done running from everything that scared me. At 7:30, I changed clothes. Not workout clothes because I did not own any anymore. Just jeans and a tank top and sneakers that had seen better days. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and looked at myself. The woman staring back at me was tired. Scared. But underneath that, beneath the exhaustion and fear, I saw something I had not seen in years. I saw my father's daughter. I saw the fighter who used to step into rings and cages and know, absolutely know, that she belonged there. I pulled my hair back into a tight bun.
No jewelry. No distractions.
Just me and my body, and the muscle memory that had been waiting 6 years to be useful again. Carla arrived at 7:45. She hugged me hard. Be careful.
Please. If this goes bad, run.
Do not try to be a hero. I am not trying to be a hero, I said. I am just trying to remind someone that underestimating people is a mistake. I kissed Mara's forehead. She was already asleep, her stuffed elephant tucked under one arm. I watched her for a moment, memorizing her peaceful face, and made myself a promise. I would come back. No matter what happened in that warehouse, I would come back to my daughter. Then I left. The warehouse was exactly where Luca said it would be. Gray concrete building with boarded windows and weeds growing through cracks in the parking lot. 2 cars were parked outside. The black vintage one I recognized, and a larger SUV that probably belonged to his men. I parked my 15-year-old sedan next to them. The contrast was almost funny. Their vehicles probably cost more than my entire life savings combined. The door was unlocked. I pushed it open and stepped inside. The space was huge. Empty except for some old equipment pushed against the walls and a cleared area in the center where Luca stood waiting. Overhead lights created harsh shadows. The air smelled like dust and motor oil. His 2 men stood off to the side. They watched me enter but said nothing. Luca had changed clothes too. Athletic pants.
No scherzo.
I could see the full extent of the tattoos that covered his chest and arms. Intricate designs that probably meant something to people in his world. His body was exactly what I expected. Muscled. Powerful. Built for violence. He smiled when he saw me. You came. I was not entirely sure you would. I said I would be here. Many people say things they do not mean when they are scared or angry. I am glad you are not one of them. I walked toward him, stopping about 10 feet away.
Close enough to talk.
Far enough to react if he tried something unexpected. Let us establish rules, he said. No weapons. No help from anyone else. Fight continues until one of us submits or cannot continue. Agreed? Agreed. And just so we are clear, when I win, you will marry me. That becomes the new agreement.
When you win.
I raised an eyebrow. You are very confident. I am realistic. You are brave to come here, Elena. I respect that. But bravery does not beat experience and strength. This will be over quickly. Try not to be too embarrassed. The condescension in his tone made my hands curl into fists.
Good.
I needed that anger. Needed it sharp and hot and focused. You said you would not hold back, because I am a woman, I reminded him. I am holding you to that. Do not pull your punches. Do not go easy on me. Give me everything you have. He nodded slowly. As you wish. Then he moved. Fast. Much faster than I expected for someone his size. He closed the distance in 3 steps, his right hand coming up in a hook aimed at my head. But I was not there anymore. I had already moved. Dropped low. Let his momentum carry him past me. Pivoted on my back foot and drove my shin into his exposed ribs with everything I had. The impact made a sound.
Solid.
Meaty. His breath came out in a surprised grunt. I did not wait. Did not give him time to recover. I was already moving again, circling to his left, staying mobile, staying light on my feet the way my father taught me. Luca turned to face me. His expression had changed. The amusement was gone. He was paying attention now.
Good, he said.
You have some training. This might actually be interesting. He came at me again. Faster this time. More committed. A combination of punches that would have ended the fight if any of them landed. But I slipped them.
Ducked. Weaved.
Used my smaller size and lower center of gravity to stay just out of reach. Then I saw my opening. He overextended on a straight right. Just slightly. Just enough. His chin came forward. His weight shifted onto his front foot. And I kicked him. Not a small kick. Not a testing kick. A full power roundhouse that started from my hip and accelerated through my entire body, all my weight and momentum and 6 years of buried rage channeling into my shin. It caught him perfectly, right under the jaw, the sweet spot that makes your brain bounce inside your skull. The impact traveled up my leg like an electric shock. Luca's head snapped back. His eyes went unfocused. His knees buckled. And then he fell. Straight down. Not backward. Not sideways.
Just down.
Like someone had cut his strings. He hit the concrete floor hard. Did not try to catch himself. Just collapsed in a heap and lay there, stunned, staring up at the ceiling. His men moved forward instantly. But I raised my hand. Stay back. He said no help. These are his rules. They stopped. Looked at their boss lying on the ground. Looked at me standing over him, breathing hard, adrenaline screaming through my veins. And I saw it on their faces. The shock. The disbelief. The beginning of something that might have been respect or might have been fear.
Luca groaned.
Blinked. Tried to push himself up and fell back down. His jaw was already swelling. There would be a bruise. A spectacular one. I crouched down next to him. Not close enough for him to grab me.
Just close enough to talk.
You told me to choose, I said quietly. Fight you or marry you. I chose to fight. And I won. So the debt is cleared. My daughter is safe. And you leave us alone. That was the agreement. He looked at me. Really looked at me. And I saw something in his eyes that I did not expect. Not anger. Not humiliation. Wonder.
Who are you?
He whispered. I am exactly who I have always been. You just assumed I was not. I stood up. Walked toward the door. His men parted to let me pass. I made it 3 steps before he spoke again.
Elena.
I stopped. Did not turn around. This is not over. Yes, I said. It is. You made the rules. I followed them. I won. It is over. Then I left. Walked out into the cool night air.
Got in my car.
Drove home on autopilot, my hands shaking on the steering wheel, my entire body vibrating with leftover adrenaline. I had done it. I had actually done it. I had knocked out Luca Leonardo with one kick. And as I pulled into my apartment complex and saw the lights still on in Carla's car where she was waiting to make sure I got home safe, I knew with absolute certainty that my life would never be the same again. Because men like Luca Leonardo do not forget. Do not forgive. Do not walk away. And I had just made myself the most interesting thing in his world. The video went live at 6 in the morning. I woke up to 73 missed calls and 216 text messages. My phone was buzzing so constantly it had vibrated itself halfway off my nightstand. For a moment, still foggy with sleep, I thought something had happened to Mara. My heart stopped. I grabbed my phone and checked her room. She was there, still asleep, her elephant tucked under her chin. Then I started reading the messages. The messages came in a furious, blinding stream. First, there were the frantic texts from Carla. Girl, call me right now. Elena, this is everywhere. You are viral. Then came Marco, the message from the diner owner Kurt and demanding. You need to call me. People are showing up at the diner asking about you. My phone buzzed relentlessly with notifications from unknown numbers, a confusing mix of awe, offers, and threats. One asked, "Is this the waitress who knocked out Luca Leonardo?" Another offered, "I will pay you $5,000 for an interview." A third proclaimed, "You are my hero." And one chilling message simply warned, "You just signed your death warrant." The messages kept coming, faster than I could read them. Overwhelmed, I finally opened my social media and immediately wished I had not. The video was everywhere. Someone had recorded the fight. One of Luca's men, probably, though the angle suggested a security camera mounted high in the warehouse corner. The footage was grainy but clear enough. You could see everything.
Luca throwing punches.
Me dodging. The moment I caught him with that kick. The way his whole body went limp. The way he crashed to the concrete like a demolished building. And the sound. That was the worst part. You could hear the impact. Hear his men gasp. Hear me tell them to stay back. The video had been viewed 4 million times. In less than 8 hours. 4 million people had watched me destroy the most dangerous man in the city. The comment section was chaos. Half the people were calling me a hero. The other half were placing bets on how long I would survive. Some were analyzing my technique, pointing out the setup, the timing, the power generation. Others were making jokes about Luca's reputation. A few were already creating memes. One comment had over 10,000 likes. Somewhere a Mafia boss is icing his jaw and falling in love. I felt sick. This was not supposed to happen. The fight was supposed to be private. Settle the debt and move on. Instead, I had just publicly humiliated a man whose entire existence depended on respect and fear. I called Carla back. She answered immediately. "Where have you been? I've been trying to reach you for hours." I was asleep. "Carla, what is happening?"
Who posted that video?
I do not know, but it is everywhere. Every news site, every gossip blog. People are talking about nothing else. There are reporters outside the diner. Marco is losing his mind. You need to get out of the city, Elena. You need to take Mara and disappear before Luca comes after you. He is not going to come after me. We had an agreement. Are you serious right now? You made him look like a fool in front of the entire world. Men like that do not forgive humiliation. They erase it. And right now you are what needs to be erased. She was right. I knew she was right. But where would I go? I had maybe $800 in my bank account. No family. No connections outside the city. And Mara had school. Friends. A life. Running was not an option. I have to go to work, I said. Carla made a sound like she wanted to reach through the phone and shake me. Elena, listen to me. Do not go to the diner. Do not go anywhere public.
Stay home.
Lock your doors.
Please.
I will be careful. I promise. I hung up before she could argue more. Mara was awake when I went to check on her again. She was sitting up in bed, her tablet in her lap, staring at the screen with wide eyes. My stomach dropped. Mom? She turned the tablet toward me. The video was playing. She had seen it. Seen me fight.
Seen me win.
Is that really you? She asked. I sat down on the edge of her bed.
Yes.
That is really me. You kicked that man so hard. I did not know you could do that. I did not know you knew how to fight like that. I used to compete. Before you were born. My father, your grandfather, he taught me. I was good at it. Really good. I just stopped when he died, because I could not afford to keep training. She watched the video again. Watched me drop Luca with that kick. Then she looked up at me, with something new in her eyes. Something like pride. That was amazing, she whispered. That was necessary, I corrected gently. But thank you. Are we in trouble? Because of the video? I do not know yet. But we're going to be okay. No matter what happens. I promise you that. I got her ready for school. Made her breakfast. Walked her to the building and watched her disappear through the doors like I did every morning. Except this morning felt different. Like I was watching her walk into a world that had changed overnight. A world where her mother was not just a waitress anymore, but something else. Something dangerous. Something viral. The diner was a circus. I saw it from a block away. People crowded outside with phones and cameras. A news van was parked across the street. Reporters were trying to interview customers who had no information to give. I considered turning around. Going home. Hiding like Carla suggested. But that would mean letting fear win. And I was done with that. I pushed through the crowd, ignoring the questions people shouted at me. Someone grabbed my arm. I pulled free and kept moving. Made it inside and locked the door behind me. Marco was behind the counter, his face red, his stress levels clearly maxed out.
Elena.
Finally.
We need to talk. I know.
I am sorry about all this. I did not know anyone was recording. It does not matter if you knew. What matters is that my diner is now the center of a media storm, and I cannot afford that kind of attention. Do you understand what I am saying? I understood. He was firing me. I need this job, Marco. I have a daughter. I have rent.
Please.
He looked genuinely sorry. And I am sorry too. You are a good worker. A great worker. But I cannot have this. The chaos. The reporters. What if Luca's people decide to make a statement and my diner gets caught in the crossfire? I have to think about my other employees. My business. I cannot risk it. So that was it. 6 years of loyalty and doubled shifts and never complaining, gone because I had defended myself and my daughter. I understand, I said quietly. When do you need me gone?
Today. Right now.
I will pay you for the week. But I need you to leave before this gets worse. He handed me an envelope.
Cash.
Probably guilt money. I took it without counting it and walked out the back door to avoid the crowd. My phone rang as soon as I hit the alley. Unknown number. I almost did not answer. But something made me. Hello?
Elena Rossi.
A woman's voice. Professional. Confident.
Yes.
Who is this? My name is Diana Kovac. I represent several clients in the entertainment and athletics industries. I saw your video. Very impressive technique. I would like to discuss representation opportunities with you. I am not interested in being famous. I am not offering fame. I am offering money. Real money. There are 3 promotions that want to sign you to fight professionally. 6 brands that want you as a spokesperson. 2 reality shows that want to build series around you. The viral moment you created is worth millions if you leverage it correctly.
I just lost my job.
I have bills. I have a daughter to feed. I do not have time for meetings or negotiations or any of this. Then let me be direct. I can have $50,000 in your account by end of business today. Advance against future earnings.
No strings. No commitment.
Just sign with me and let me handle the opportunities. You keep doing what you are doing. I make sure you get paid for it.
$52,000.
That was more money than I made in 2 years at the diner. That was rent for a year.
Food.
Security. Breathing room. Why would you do that? Why would you give me money before I have earned anything? Because I know potential when I see it. And you, Elena, have something that cannot be taught or faked. You have authenticity. An underdog story. A viral moment that proves you are the real thing. In my business, that is gold. So either you sign with me and we both make money, or you sign with someone else and they make money. Your choice.
I need to think about it.
You have until noon. After that, my offer drops to $30,000 because every hour you wait is an hour my competitors are making their own offers. Send me an email either way. My contact information is coming to your phone now. She hung up. 2 seconds later, a text arrived with her details. I stood in that alley, holding my phone, trying to process the last 12 hours of my life. Yesterday, I was a waitress. Today, I was unemployed, viral, and apparently worth $50,000 to someone.
My phone rang again.
Different number. This time it was a man's voice. Older.
Rough. Elena Rossi? Yes.
You do not know me. But I knew your father. Giovanni Rossi. I trained with him back in the day before he opened his own gym. I saw your video. Saw that kick. That was pure Giovanni technique. Same setup he used to use. Same power generation. I would recognize it anywhere. My throat tightened. Who is this? Name is Frank Castellano. I run a gym on the south side. Small place. Nothing fancy. But I train real fighters. And I am calling because I want to train you.
No charge.
No contract. Just training. Because your father was my friend, and because talent like yours should not be wasted serving coffee. I have not trained in 6 years. Muscle memory does not forget. Your body knows what to do. You just need to sharpen it. Wake it back up. And honestly, after humiliating Luca Leonardo, you probably need to know how to defend yourself properly. Because that man is not going to let this slide. His reputation just took a hit that will cost him respect and money and power. Men like him do not recover from that without evening the score.
Everyone kept saying that.
Everyone kept warning me that Luca would come for revenge. But he had not. Not yet. 20 hours since the fight and nothing.
No threats. No visits. No consequences.
Maybe he was smarter than people thought. Maybe he understood that coming after me now would only make him look worse. Prove that I had gotten under his skin. Or maybe he was planning something worse than anything I could imagine. I will think about your offer, I told Frank. Thank you for calling. Do not think too long. The longer you stay untrained, the more vulnerable you are. He gave me his gym address and hung up. I walked home through side streets, avoiding main roads where reporters might spot me. The whole way, my phone kept buzzing. More calls. More texts. More opportunities and threats and messages from people I had never met. By the time I reached my apartment, I had 14 job offers, 3 death threats, and 1 marriage proposal from someone claiming to be a billionaire in Dubai. The world had gone insane. I made lunch, stared at my bank account, stared at Diana's contact information, stared at Frank's gym address. Thought about my daughter coming home from school to a mother with no job and no plan and no future beyond viral fame that would disappear in a week when the internet found something new to obsess over. Thought about my father. about what he would tell me to do. Fight or run. Stand or hide. Become something or stay nobody. At 11:45, I sent Diana an email. I accept your offer. 50,000. Let me know what you need from me. Her response came back in 3 minutes. Contract coming within the hour. Welcome to the team. Your life just changed.
She was right about that.
My life had changed. The question was whether it had changed for better or worse. I picked Mara up from school that afternoon. She was excited. All her friends had seen the video. She was suddenly popular.
Cool.
The girl whose mom could fight. On the walk home, she held my hand tighter than usual. Mom, are you going to keep fighting? Like in competitions? I do not know yet. Maybe. Would that bother you?
No.
She looked up at me with those green eyes that were so much like her father's it hurt sometimes. I think it is cool. I think you're cool. I did not know moms could be cool. I laughed. The first real laugh in 24 hours. Moms can be lots of things, baby. We just do not always get the chance to show it. We were half a block from our apartment when I saw the car. The black vintage one. Parked in front of my building. Engine running. And leaning against it, his jaw swollen and bruised exactly where my shin had connected, was Luca Leonardo. He was not alone. His 2 men stood nearby. But this time there were others. For more men, I did not recognize. All of them watching. Waiting. I stopped walking. Mara felt the tension and pressed closer to my side. Stay behind me, I whispered. Lucas straightened when he saw me. He was not smiling. Not angry either. His expression was something else. Something I could not quite read. We need to talk, he called out. We already talked. The debt is settled. You should leave. I am not here about the debt. He pushed off from the car and took a step forward. I am here about the video. About what happens next. About keeping you alive. That stopped me. Keeping me alive? You humiliated me, Elena. In front of the entire city. In front of my enemies and my allies and everyone who depends on respect and fear to maintain control. Do you understand what that means? It means you underestimated me. That is not my problem. It is absolutely your problem. Because now I have rivals who think I am weak. Who think they can move against me. And they will use you to prove it. They will come after you.
Hurt you.
Use you as leverage or as a symbol or as a corpse to send a message. And I cannot allow that. Why would you care what happens to me? Because, he said, and his voice dropped lower, more intense, you are the only person who has ever beaten me in a fair fight. The only person who made me feel something other than bored in years. And I will be damned if I let someone else destroy you before I figure out what the hell that means. I stared at him. At the bruise on his jaw. At the way he was looking at me like I was a puzzle he needed to solve. What do you want, Luca? I want to protect you. You and your daughter. 24-hour security. Safe housing. Anything you need. In exchange for what? Nothing.
He spread his hands. No strines.
No debt. Just protection. Because you're going to need it, and because I am the only one who can provide it properly. I do not want your protection. Then you're going to die. His bluntness was startling. Maybe not today. Maybe not this week. But soon. Because you just made yourself a target in a world you do not understand. And pride will not keep you safe. Mara tugged on my hand. Mom, I am scared. I looked down at her frightened face. Then back at Luca and his men, and the reality of what he was saying. He was right. I had no training in this world. No understanding of gang politics or territory wars or how quickly violence could appear. I had a viral video and $50,000 coming and a daughter who needed me alive. I need to think about it, I said. You have until tomorrow. After that, I cannot guarantee your safety. My enemies move fast. He got back in his car. His men climbed into the other vehicles. They drove away slowly, deliberately, making sure everyone on the street saw that Luca Leonardo had visited the woman who knocked him out. Making sure everyone knew I mattered to him now. And as I stood there watching his taillights disappear, I realized something terrifying. This was not over. Not even close. The fight in the warehouse was just the beginning. I had stepped into something much bigger and much more dangerous than a simple debt over a scratched car. I had stepped into Luca Leonardo's world. And now, whether I wanted it or not, I was a part of it. The catastrophe was not the fight. The catastrophe was what came after. The first threat arrived at 3 in the morning. I woke up to breaking glass. The sound came from the living room, sharp and violent, followed by something heavy hitting the floor. My instinct screamed at me to run to Mara, get between her and whatever danger had just entered our home. I grabbed the baseball bat I kept under my bed. My father had given it to me years ago, told me every woman should have something solid within reach. I moved down the hallway as quietly as I could, my heart hammering so hard I could barely hear anything else. The living room window was shattered. Glass covered the floor, glinting in the streetlight that filtered through the curtains. And in the middle of the debris was a brick wrapped in paper. No one was inside.
No footsteps. No breathing.
Just the brick and the broken window and the cold night air pouring in. I unwrapped the paper with shaking hands. The message was written in red marker. Block letters. Simple and direct. You made him look weak. Now you pay. Below that, a photo. Me walking Mara to school that morning. Someone had been following us. Watching. Close enough to take pictures. I felt my blood turn to ice. This was not about me anymore. This was about my daughter. About someone using her to get to me, to send a message, to prove that no amount of viral fame or fighting skill could protect what I loved most. I called 911. The police arrived 20 minutes later. 2 officers who looked tired and underpaid and completely unsurprised by what they found. They took the brick. Took my statement. Took photos of the damage. The older officer, a woman with gray streaks in her dark hair, pulled me aside while her partner secured the scene. You're the one from the video. The waitress who fought Luca Leonardo. It was not a question.
Yes.
She nodded slowly. Then you need to understand something. We can file this report. We can increase patrols in your area. But if this is connected to that world, to those families, our hands are tied. They operate beyond what we can touch. Beyond what we can protect you from. So, what am I supposed to do? She glanced at her partner, then back at me. Lower your voice.
Between you and me?
Take Leonardo's protection if he offered it. I know it sounds crazy. I know he is a criminal. But in situations like this, sometimes the only thing that keeps you safe from wolves is a bigger wolf. You are telling me to trust a mobster? I am telling you to survive. There is a difference. They left an hour later. Told me to call if anything else happened. Did not promise they could actually do anything to help. I spent the rest of the night boarding up the window with cardboard and duct tape. Checking on Mara every 10 minutes even though she had somehow slept through the entire incident. Sitting in the kitchen with my phone in one hand and the baseball bat in the other, jumping at every sound. By the time the sun came up, I had made my decision. I called Luca at 6 in the morning. He answered on the first ring like he had been waiting.
Elena.
Someone threw a brick through my window last night. With a threat. And a photo of my daughter. Silence on the other end. Then his voice came back different. Harder. Colder. Are you hurt?
No.
But they were watching us. They know where we live. They know where Mara goes to school. I am sending a car. Pack what you need for a week. You and your daughter are moving today. Luca, I have not agreed to anything yet.
You are agreeing now.
Unless you want to wait for the next threat to be more than a brick.
Pack.
The car will be there in 30 minutes. He hung up before I could argue. I stood there holding my phone, staring at the boarded window, thinking about the photo of Mara, about how close someone had gotten to her without me knowing, about how quickly safety could become an illusion. Then I started packing. Mara woke up confused and scared when I told her we were leaving. I kept my voice calm, explained that we were going somewhere safer for a little while, that everything would be okay. She asked questions I did not have good answers for.
Why?
For how long? What about school? What about her things? I packed quickly.
Clothes.
Toiletries. Her stuffed elephant. Documents I could not replace. Everything else would have to stay. The car arrived exactly when Luca said it would. A black SUV with tinted windows. The driver was one of the men I recognized from the warehouse. He did not speak, just loaded our bags and opened the door. Mara held my hand so tight it hurt as we climbed inside. The drive took 20 minutes. We headed toward the north side of the city, the wealthy area where houses had gates and security cameras and manicured lawns. The kind of neighborhood I had only ever seen on television. We stopped in front of a house that was not quite a mansion but close. Modern architecture, clean lines, surrounded by a high fence with cameras mounted every 20 feet. The gate opened automatically as we approached. Luca was waiting inside. He looked different in daylight. The bruise on his jaw was darker now, purple and yellow spreading down his neck. He should have looked ridiculous,
Defeated.
Instead, he looked dangerous, like something that had been hit and was deciding whether to hit back or destroy you completely. "Welcome," he said. "You will stay here until the threat is neutralized." "How long will that take?" "Depends on who sent the brick. I have people looking into it. Could be days. Could be weeks. I cannot stay here for weeks. Mara has school. I have work. I have a life. You had a life. Now you have survival. There is a difference." The same words the police officer had used. Everyone seemed to agree that my old life was over whether I accepted it or not. He showed us through the house. It was beautiful in that cold, expensive way that said someone had hired a designer who prioritized aesthetics over comfort. White walls, modern furniture, art that probably cost more than my car. The guest room had 2 beds, a bathroom attached, windows that overlooked a garden in the back. Everything was spotless and impersonal and felt nothing like home. "My men will be outside at all times," Luca explained. "No one gets in without clearance. You need anything, tell them. Food, supplies, whatever. It will be handled." "What about school?" Mara's voice was small, scared. Luca crouched down to her level, a gesture that surprised me. His expression softened in a way I had not seen before. "What grade are you in?"
"5th.
"5th grade. That is an important year. We will arrange for a tutor to come here. You will not fall behind. I promise. But my friends will still be your friends when this is over. Right now, the most important thing is keeping you and your mom safe. Can you be brave for a little while? Help me protect you both?" She nodded slowly. Luca stood and met my eyes over her head. The softness was gone. Back to business. "We need to talk. Privately." I settled Mara in the guest room with her tablet and followed Luca to an office on the first floor. Dark wood, leather chairs, a desk covered with papers and laptops and phones. He closed the door and turned to face me. The brick came from the Kozlov family, Russian crew that controls the docks and import business. They have been waiting for an opportunity to move against me for months. Your video gave them ammunition. Made me look vulnerable. So this is about your reputation. Not about protecting me.
His jaw tightened.
It is about both. They are using you to hurt me, which means hurting you accomplishes their goal. I need to send a message that you are off limits. That coming after you is the same as coming after me. And how do you send that message? Various ways. Some involve violence. Some involve negotiations. Some involve making examples of people who break rules. The casual way he said it made my skin crawl. You're talking about killing people. I am talking about maintaining order in a world that operates on respect and fear. Yes, sometimes that involves violence. I will not lie to you about what I do, Elena. But I will keep you safe while I do it. I do not want anyone dying because of me. Then you should have thought of that before you kicked me in front of a camera. The words hung in the air between us. Sharp.
True.
Fool. You are right, I said quietly. I should have. But I did not know someone was recording. I did not know it would go viral. I was just trying to defend myself and protect my daughter. That is all I have ever been trying to do. Something in his expression shifted. The hardness cracked just slightly. I know. He ran a hand through his hair. I know you were just protecting your family. That is why I am helping. Because I understand that instinct. Because I respect it. You respect me? After I humiliated you? Because you humiliated me. He stepped closer. Everyone in my life treats me like I am made of glass and violence. They fear me or use me or want something from me. You are the first person in years to look at me and see just another man. Just another opponent. And then you beat me.
Fairly. No tricks.
No weapons. Just skill and courage. Do you have any idea how rare that is? I do not want to be rare to you. I do not want to be anything to you except someone you help and then forget about. Too late for that. The way he said it made my heart skip. There was something in his voice, in his eyes, that went beyond respect or admiration. Something deeper and more dangerous. I need air, I said. I need to call people. Let them know I am okay. You can call, but you cannot tell them where you are. Location stays confidential. For security. He left me alone in the office. I called Carla first. She answered on the second ring. Elena, where have you been? I have been trying to reach you all night. Someone threw a brick through my window. Threatened me and Mara. We had to leave. Oh my God. Where are you now? Somewhere safe. I cannot tell you where.
But we are okay.
Protected. A pause. Protected by Luca Leonardo? Yes. She made a sound between a laugh and a groan. You do realize you just moved from one dangerous situation into another, right? I do not have better options. I called Diana next. Told her what happened. She was silent for a long moment after I finished. This complicates things, she finally said. But it also makes you more valuable. The woman's so dangerous, she needs ma protection? That is a hell of a story. We can work with this. Diana, people are threatening my daughter. I do not care about the story. I understand. But you should care about money. Because money is what gets you and your daughter out of this situation permanently. Money is what gives you real options.
So let me do my job.
Let me turn this nightmare into something that actually benefits you long term. She was not wrong. As much as I hated thinking about profit while my life fell apart, she was right that financial security would give me power. Give me choices.
Fine.
Do what you need to do. I hung up and sat in Luca's office, surrounded by his things, in his house, under his protection, and wondered how I had gotten here. How my life had gone from serving coffee to hiding from Russian gangsters in the space of 48 hours. The next 3 days were strange. Surreal. Mara adjusted faster than I expected. The tutor Luca arranged was a patient woman in her 50s who had apparently taught the children of several wealthy families. She came twice a day and worked with Mara on math and reading and science. I spent most of my time in the guest room or the garden, trying not to feel like a prisoner in a luxurious cage. Luca's men brought meals, answered questions, maintained a professional distance that somehow made everything feel more isolating. Luca himself came and went. Sometimes I would hear his voice in another part of the house, speaking rapid Italian on the phone. Sometimes I would see him through windows, meeting with men in expensive suits who arrived in expensive cars. We barely spoke. He was handling the situation. I was waiting for it to be handled. That was the extent of our interaction. Until the fourth night. I could not sleep.
Too much anxiety.
Too much sitting around doing nothing while other people decided my fate. I went downstairs around midnight looking for water and found Luca in the living room. He was sitting in the dark, staring at nothing, a glass of something amber in his hand.
Cannot sleep?
He asked without turning around.
No.
You? Sleep is overrated. I sat down on the opposite end of the couch. Not close, but not running away either.
What are you thinking about?
I asked.
He looked at me.
Really looked at me. The way he had in the diner those first few times before I knew who he was.
Like he was trying to solve something.
About how much simpler my life was before I saw you. That makes two of us. He laughed. A short, bitter sound. You regret fighting me?
No.
I regret that someone recorded it. But the fight itself?
No.
That felt right. Like waking up after a long sleep. That is exactly what it looked like. He set his glass down. You moved like someone who had been waiting years to move like that again. Like your body knew exactly what to do and was grateful for the chance. My father trained me for 10 years. Some things you do not forget.
Tell me about him.
Your father.
So I did.
I told him about the gym, about the competitions, about the way my father would stay up late watching fight footage, analyzing techniques, explaining what worked and what did not, about how he believed I could be champion if I kept training, about how everything fell apart when he died. Luca listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. He would be proud of you. For that kick. For defending your daughter. For not backing down when most people would have run. I do not feel very brave. I feel like I am trapped and pretending everything is fine so Mara does not get scared. That is what bravery is. Doing what needs to be done even when you are terrified. We sat in the dark together. Not touching. Not speaking. Just existing in the same space without the usual tension and fear. Why are you really helping me? I asked finally. Is it guilt?
Frida?
Something else? He considered the question. Honest answer?
Please.
All of the above. Guilt because you are in danger because of me. Pride because I do not want anyone else finishing what you started. And something else. Something I do not have words for yet.
Try.
He turned to face me fully. You made me feel something, Elena.
When you kicked me.
When I woke up on that concrete floor, looking up at you, I felt alive. Actually alive. Not just going through the motions of power and control and maintaining respect. Actually present in my own body. I have not felt that in years. And I do not know if what I feel toward you is gratitude or obsession or something more dangerous. But I know I am not ready for you to disappear. The honesty of it stunned me into silence. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He checked it, and his expression changed.
Hardened.
They found who sent the brick. He stood. I need to handle this. What does that mean? Handle this? He looked down at me. You do not want to know the details. Just know that by tomorrow, the threat will be gone. Luca, please do not kill anyone for me. I am not doing it for you. I am doing it for the order of things. For the rules that keep this world from constant chaos. But I appreciate your concern. Then he left. Walked out into the night with his phone and his men and whatever violent justice he thought was necessary. I sat there alone in the dark, wondering what I had become. What this life was turning me into. Whether accepting his protection made me complicit in whatever he was about to do. And underneath all of that, buried deep where I did not want to acknowledge it, was something else. A feeling I could not name. Did not want to name. A feeling that started the moment he crouched down to Mara's level and promised to keep us safe. The moment he listened to me talk about my father without judgment or impatience. The moment he admitted I made him feel alive. I was starting to see him as something other than a criminal. Something other than a threat. I was starting to see him as a man. Complicated. Dangerous. But human. And that was more dangerous than any brick through any window. Because falling for Luca Leonardo would destroy me in ways violence never could. The threat disappeared exactly like Luca promised. No more bricks. No more photos. No more messages scrawled in red marker. Whatever he did that night, whoever he spoke to or hurt or buried, it worked. The Kozlov family went silent. Their attempt to use me as leverage vanished like it had never existed. But the price of that safety became clear 3 weeks later. 3 weeks of living in Luca's house. 3 weeks of tutors and security and meals prepared by people I never saw. 3 weeks of watching my daughter adjust to this strange new life while I tried to figure out what came next. Diana had been busy. The 50,000 had hit my account exactly when she promised. She had lined up interviews, sponsorship deals, and 3 different fighting promotions all bidding for my contract. My viral moment had translated into actual opportunities. But I could not leave the house to pursue any of them. Could not show my face in public without risking another family seeing an opportunity. So everything happened through video calls and contracts sent electronically, and Diana assuring me this was all normal, all manageable, all worth it. Luca and I had fallen into a routine. He would come home late, usually after Mara was asleep. We would sit in the living room or the kitchen.
Sometimes we talked.
Sometimes we just existed in the same space, the silence comfortable in a way that should have terrified me. He told me about his world, the rules, the hierarchies, The way respect functioned as currency and violence as enforcement.
He did not glorify it.
Did not pretend it was noble. Just explained it like someone describing the weather. This is how things are. This is why they have to be this way. I told him about my world. The exhaustion of poverty. The fear of not making rent. The way you stop dreaming because survival takes all your energy. He listened like he genuinely wanted to understand, like my struggles mattered even though he could buy and sell my entire life with pocket change. We were becoming something. I did not know what. Did not want to examine it too closely. But there was a pull between us now. Magnetic. Dangerous. Carla noticed it in my voice when we talked on the phone.
You sound different. Softer.
Are you falling for him?
No.
I am just tired. Elena, I have known you for 6 years. I know when you are lying. Please be careful. Men like that do not love. They possess. And when you are done being interesting, they move on. He is not like that. How do you know? You have known him for less than a month. Most of that time you have been dependent on him for safety. You think that is a foundation for anything real? I did not have an answer for her. Because she was right. Everything between Luca and me existed under pressure. Under threat. In an artificial environment where I needed him and he was fascinated by me. None of it was real life. None of it would survive outside these walls. But it felt real when he looked at me. When he smiled at something Mara said. When his hand brushed mine reaching for the same coffee cup and we both froze, that electric moment hanging between us. It felt real even though I knew it should not. The devastation started on a Tuesday morning. Mara was in her tutoring session. I was in the garden, finally getting some sunlight after days of rain. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost did not answer. Hello? Is this Elena Rossi? A man's voice.
Official sounding. Yes.
Who is this? My name is Detective James Walsh. I am with the Organized Crime Unit. I need to speak with you about Luca Leonardo. Are you somewhere you can talk privately? My blood went cold. I looked around. 2 of Luca's men were visible near the house. Watching. Always watching. I am not sure that is a good idea. Ms. Rossi, I know you are currently staying at Mr. Leonardo's residence. I know about the threats against you. I know he has positioned himself as your protector. But I need you to understand something. The man you are trusting with your safety is not who you think he is. I know what he does. I know he is a criminal. Do you know about the Riverside Massacre? 3 years ago. 7 people dead in a warehouse. Execution style.
No witnesses. No arrests. I had heard about it.
Everyone had. It was all over the news for weeks. A brutal gang killing that shocked the city. That was Luca Leonardo. Detective Walsh's voice was hard now. Relentless. We have never been able to prove it. Never got enough evidence for charges. But we know. He killed those people himself. Not his men. Him.
Personally.
Because they had tried to move into his territory. Why are you telling me this? Because you have a daughter. Because I have watched too many women get caught up in this world thinking they can change these men, or that they are special enough to be treated differently. You are not special to him, Ms. Rossi. You are convenient, useful, an asset to be managed. And when you stop being useful, you will be discarded.
If you are lucky.
If you are not lucky, you will end up like those 7 people in that warehouse. I felt sick. Not because the information was surprising. I knew Luca was capable of violence. But hearing it stated so bluntly, 7 people, execution style, him personally. What do you want from me? Information.
Testimony.
Help us build a case against him. We can protect you and your daughter properly. Real protection. Legal protection. Not the kind that comes with strings attached. If I help you, he will know. He will come after me. If you do not help us, you are already at his mercy. Which scenario feels safer? He gave me a number. Told me to think about it. Told me he would be waiting. I sat in that garden for an hour after he hung up, trying to process. Trying to separate what I knew from what I felt. Trying to figure out if the man who listened to my stories and promised to keep my daughter safe was the same man who executed 7 people in a warehouse. They could be the same person. I knew that. People were complicated, capable of tenderness and brutality in equal measure. But which version was real? Which version would I be left with when the fascination wore off and I became just another obligation? That night, I watched Luca differently. He came home around 9,
Took off his jacket.
rolled up his sleeves. I noticed things I had not paid attention to before. Scars on his knuckles. A thin line across his forearm. Marks that came from violence given and received. He caught me staring. Something wrong?
No.
Just tired. You have been tired a lot lately. Maybe you should see a doctor. Make sure everything is okay. The concern in his voice felt genuine.
But was it?
Or was I just seeing what I wanted to see? Luca, I started, then stopped. Not sure how to ask what I needed to ask.
What?
Do you ever regret it? The things you have done. The choices you have made. His expression closed off. Became unreadable. That is a dangerous question, Elena.
Why?
Because I do not think you actually want the honest answer. Try me. He sat down across from me. Leaned forward. His eyes locked on mine with an intensity that made it hard to breathe. I do not regret protecting what is mine. I do not regret enforcing rules that keep order. I do not regret surviving in a world that would eat me alive if I showed weakness. Do I wish I lived in a different world where those things were not necessary? Sometimes. But I do not get to choose the world I was born into. I only get to choose how I navigate it. And the people you have hurt? Killed? Do you regret them? Every single one. Not because I think I was wrong, but because I am not a monster who enjoys violence. I am a man who does what is necessary and then carries the weight of it. That is the difference between me and the people I fight against. They enjoy the blood. I just accept it as the price of staying alive. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to think that regret made him different. Better. Redeemable. But Detective Walsh's words echoed in my head. 7 people. Execution style. Did you kill those people in the Riverside warehouse? The words came out before I could stop them. Luca went very still. His expression did not change, but something shifted in the air between us. Something cold and dangerous. Who have you been talking to? No one.
I just heard about it.
Everyone heard about it. And you are asking me now because? Because I need to know who I am trusting with my daughter's life. He stood, walked to the window, looked out at the dark garden for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different. Flatter. More controlled. Yes. I killed them. All 7. They ambushed 2 of my men. Beat them nearly to death. Left them in the street as a message. So I sent a message back. A clearer one. The casual way he said it made my stomach turn. You executed 7 people. I eliminated a threat. If I had let that attack go unanswered, it would have triggered a war. Dozens would have died. Maybe hundreds. What I did was surgical. Precise. It ended the conflict before it started. That is how you justify it?
Math?
Your 7 murders prevented more murders? That is the world I live in, Elena. That is the reality you are benefiting from right now. The safety you feel in this house? It exists because people know what I am willing to do. Because they know attacking you means answering to me. You do not get to enjoy the protection and judge the methods. He was right. I hated that he was right. But knowing someone was capable of executing 7 people and living with them under the same roof were different things. Letting him around my daughter were different things. I think Mara and I should leave. The words hung in the air like a bomb. Luca turned from the window. His expression was carefully neutral, but I could see the anger underneath. The hurt. Leave and go where? Back to your broken window and Russian gangsters? Back to working double shifts and pretending viral fame will last forever? I do not know, but I cannot stay here. Not now. Not knowing what I know. You already knew, Elena. You knew from the beginning what I was. You're just looking for an excuse to run, because this is getting too real. Too complicated. Because you are starting to feel something for me, and that terrifies you. Do not tell me what I feel. Then tell me yourself. Look me in the eye and tell me you feel nothing. That these last 3 weeks meant nothing. That every conversation we have had was just you passing time until you could leave. I opened my mouth.
Closed it.
Could not form the words because they would be lies. That is what I thought. He grabbed his jacket. I am going out. When I get back, you can decide. Stay or go. But understand that leaving means losing my protection. Losing the safety that has kept you and your daughter alive. You will be on your own again. Back to poverty and threats, and hoping the next brick through your window is just a brick. He left. Walked out into the night. Left me sitting there with my heart racing and my mind spinning, and no idea what the right choice was. I went upstairs. Checked on Mara. She was asleep, her elephant tucked under her arm, completely unaware that her mother was falling apart in the next room. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything. The warehouse. The 7 bodies. The way Luca had admitted it without shame or hesitation. The way he had turned it back on me. Made me complicit. Made me the one who was benefiting from his violence while judging him for it. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Still thinking about my offer? The one that comes with real protection instead of a killer's charity.
Call me.
Detective Walsh. I stared at the message. At the choice crystallizing in front of me. Stay with Luca. Accept what he was. Accept the protection that came with blood on his hands. Accept that I was starting to care about a man who had executed 7 people. Or cooperate with the police. Give them information.
Testify.
Put Luca in prison and hope the legal system could actually protect me and Mara from his enemies and his allies and everyone else who would see me as a traitor. Or run. Take Mara and disappear. Use Diana's money to start over somewhere new. Hope that distance and time would be enough. None of the options were good. All of them came with risks I could not fully calculate. I pulled up Carla's number. Called her even though it was past midnight. She answered groggily.
Elena?
What is wrong? Everything. I think I need to leave. I think I need to take Mara and get out of here. Did he hurt you?
No.
But I found out things. Bad things. And I do not know if I can stay with someone who has done what he has done. Then leave.
Right now.
Pack a bag and leave before he gets back. But what if he is right? What if leaving makes everything worse? Elena, listen to me. I have known you through every hard thing in your life. Through Giovanni's death. Through Mara's father leaving. Through every struggle and sacrifice. You have always found a way.
You have always survived.
You do not need Luca Leonardo. You never did. You just convinced yourself you did, because he made you feel safe. But safety that comes with conditions is not real safety. It is just a prettier cage. She was right. I knew she was right. But leaving felt like stepping off a cliff and hoping I could fly. I packed anyway. Quietly.
Carefully.
Just the essentials. Mara's things. My documents. Everything I absolutely could not replace. I was halfway through packing when I heard the front door open downstairs. Luca was back. My heart stopped. If he came upstairs now and saw the bags, saw what I was doing, what would happen? Would he let me go?
Stop me?
Turn violent? I waited, holding my breath, listening to his footsteps move through the house. They stopped outside my door. A soft knock.
Elena?
I did not answer. I know you are awake. I can see the light under your door. Still, I said nothing. I am going to respect your space. I am not going to come in. But I need you to hear something. What I did in that warehouse, those 7 people, they were not innocent. They were not bystanders. They were career criminals who had killed dozens between them, who had terrorized neighborhoods, who had hurt children to send messages. I did not murder them. I executed them. And I would do it again. Not because I enjoy it, but because someone has to maintain order. Someone has to enforce consequences. That is my role. That is my burden. And I am not asking you to love it or even accept it. But I am asking you to understand that the world is not simple, that justice is not clean, that protecting people sometimes requires being the monster, so others do not have to be. His footsteps moved away, down the hall, into his own room. I stood there with my half-packed bags, tears running down my face, knowing exactly what I had to do and hating every part of it. Because Carla was right. Safety with conditions was not real safety. But Luca was also right. The world was not simple. Justice was not clean. And I was caught in the middle with a daughter, depending on me to make the right choice. I finished packing, set the bags by the door, lay down on the bed without undressing, and waited for morning to decide if I was brave enough to leave or broken enough to stay. I made it 3 blocks before they found me. Morning came with that weak gray light that makes everything look temporary. I woke Mara quietly, told her we were leaving, watched her confusion turn to fear, turn to obedience. She had learned not to question me when my voice got that tone. The one that said we were in survival mode again. We slipped out at 6 in the morning. Luca's men changed shifts at 6. I had noticed the pattern over 3 weeks. A 15-minute window where the guards were transitioning, communicating, distracted. It was not much, but it was enough. I had called a taxi to meet us 2 blocks away. Did not want the driver coming to the house. Did not want to leave that kind of trail. Mara and I walked quickly, our bags light but feeling like they weighed 1,000 pounds. My heart hammered so hard I could barely hear the morning birds. Every car that passed made me flinch. We were 1 block from the taxi when the black SUV pulled up alongside us. Not Luca's men. Different vehicle. Different faces. But the same energy. The same predatory awareness. 3 men got out. The one in front was tall, thin, with a scar running from his ear to his jaw. He smiled when he saw me.
Elena Rossi.
We have been waiting for you to do something stupid. Thank you for making it easy. I pushed Mara behind me. Who are you? Friends of the people your boyfriend put in the ground. We have been watching that house for weeks, waiting for an opening. And here you are, gift wrapped. I am not with Luca. I was leaving. We are done. The man left. You think that matters? You think we care about your relationship status? You made him look weak. You embarrassed him. Then you lived in his house, under his protection. That makes you his. Which makes you ours now. He reached for my arm. I broke his nose. The movement was instinct, pure muscle memory from years of training. I twisted away from his grip, pivoted, and drove my palm straight into his face. Felt the cartilage crunch. Saw blood explode. He staggered back, swearing. The other 2 moved forward. Mara, run. I did not look at her. Did not take my eyes off the men. Run now. I heard her footsteps. Running. Good girl. Smart girl. Get away, and I could handle this. Except I could not handle this. 2 trained men against 1 woman with a bag on her shoulder, and 3 weeks of soft living making her slower than she used to be. I got in a few good hits. A kick that caught one in the stomach. An elbow that split the other's lip. But they were professionals. They adjusted. Coordinated. And when one of them finally got behind me and locked his arm around my throat, I knew it was over. Everything went dark around the edges. I clawed at his arm. Tried to drop my weight. Tried the escapes my father had taught me. Nothing worked. The last thing I heard before I passed out was Mara screaming. I woke up in a basement. Concrete walls. Single bulb hanging from the ceiling. The smell of mold and old blood. My hands were zip-tied behind my back. My head throbbed where I had hit the ground. And Mara was sitting in the corner, also zip-tied, her face streaked with tears, her elephant clutched awkwardly in her bound hands. They had grabbed her too. My daughter. My baby. The one thing I had been trying to protect through all of this. The rage that filled me was different from anything I had felt before. Not hot. Cold. Calculated. Murderous. The scarred man came down the stairs. His nose was swollen, packed with gauze. He looked at me with something like respect mixed with hate. Nice punch. You know what you are doing. Let my daughter go. She is 10 years old. She has nothing to do with this. She has everything to do with this. She is leverage. Insurance. Motivation for you to cooperate. Cooperate with what? We are going to make a video. You are going to apologize for embarrassing Luca Leonardo. You are going to beg his forgiveness. You are going to admit you were a nobody who got lucky. And then we are going to send it to everyone in the city. Show them what happens when random people think they can touch our world and walk away. And if I refuse, He walked over to Mara, crouched down next to her. She tried to scramble away, but he grabbed her hair, held her in place while she whimpered. Then we hurt her. Not you. Her. Every time you refuse to cooperate, she pays the price. Do you understand? I understood. I understood that these men were willing to torture a child to make a point, that in their world, 10-year-old girls were acceptable casualties. I will do it. I will make your video. Just do not touch her. Please. He smiled. Smart choice. They made the video. Forced me to kneel in front of a camera and say the words they wanted. That I was sorry. That I had been disrespectful. That Luca Leonardo was powerful and dangerous, and I had been a fool to challenge him. Every word tasted like poison. Every sentence felt like swallowing glass. But I said them. Because Mara was watching. Because keeping her unharmed mattered more than my pride. When they finished recording, they did not untie us. Just locked us in the basement and went upstairs. I heard voices. Arguments. Someone saying they should wait. Someone else saying they should just finish this now. I worked at the zip ties. Pulled. Twisted. Felt the plastic cutting into my wrists. Felt blood making my hands slippery. Mom, Mara whispered. Are they going to kill us? No, baby. I lied because what else could I do? Someone will come. We will be okay. But I did not believe it. Hours passed. No one came. The basement got darker as daylight faded above. My wrists were raw and bleeding, but the zip ties held. I had failed. Failed to protect my daughter. Failed to escape Luca's world. Failed to be the mother she deserved. Around midnight, I heard something. Voices upstairs getting louder. Then gunshots. 3 shots. Rapid. Professional. Then silence. Footsteps on the stairs. Heavy boots. Moving quickly. I pushed myself in front of Mara. If they were coming to kill us, they would have to go through me first. The door burst open. Luca stood there, a gun in his hand, blood splattered across his white shirt. His eyes found me immediately. Scanned me for injuries. Landed on the blood dripping from my wrists. His expression went cold. Murderous. Behind him, his men secured the basement. Checked corners. Made sure we were alone. Luca holstered his gun and knelt in front of me. Pulled out a knife. I am going to cut you free. Hold still. He sliced through the zip ties with one smooth motion. My hands came free, and the pain was immediate. Blood rushing back into compressed tissue. He moved to Mara next. Cut her free gently. She threw her arms around him and sobbed into his chest. He held her with one arm while his other hand stayed near his gun. Still ready. Still alert. Are you hurt? He asked me over Mara's head. No. Just my wrists. How did you find us? You think I did not have trackers in your bags? He almost smiled. Almost. I let you leave, Elena. Let you get distance. Let you try. But I was never going to let you actually disappear. The relief I felt was overwhelming. He had been watching, waiting, ready to come for us the moment things went wrong. And they had come for us. Killed the men who took us. Rescued us even though I had been leaving him. Upstairs, his men were cleaning the scene. 3 bodies. The scarred man and his 2 associates. All dead. All dealt with efficiently. I did not ask questions. Did not want to know the details. Luca drove us back to the house himself. Mara fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from terror and tears. I sat in the front, my bandaged wrists throbbing, my mind trying to process the last 16 hours. You were right, I said finally. Leaving made everything worse. I take no pleasure in being right about this. What happens now? Now you stay. Not as a prisoner. Not as someone who owes me. But as someone I protect, because that is what I do for people I care about. I looked at him. At his profile in the dashboard lights. At the blood still on his shirt from killing men who had hurt me. You killed them for us. Yes. Without hesitation. Elena, I have done terrible things in my life. Things I regret. Things that haunt me. But killing the men who took you and your daughter? That is not one of them. That was justice. And I would do it 1,000 times over. We pulled into the driveway. The gate closed behind us with a finality that felt different now. Not like a cage. Like a fortress. Luca carried Mara inside. Put her in bed with her elephant. Stood there looking at her sleeping face for a long moment. When we were back downstairs, he turned to face me. I will not force you to stay. If you truly want to leave, I will arrange protection. Set you up somewhere safe. Make sure you and Mara have security. But I cannot let you just walk away with nothing. Not anymore. Not after this. I do not want to leave. The words came out before I could question them. But they were true. Everything Carla had said about pretty cages and conditional safety, all of it was valid. All of it was true. But so was this. So was the fact that when Mara and I were in danger, Luca had come. Had killed for us. Had brought us home. You do not want to leave, he repeated slowly.
Even knowing what I am.
What I do. Especially knowing what you are. Because you do not hide it. You do not pretend to be something better. You are exactly who you say you are. And you keep your promises. Elena, if you stay, things will change. You will not be a guest anymore.
You will be part of my life.
My world. There will be consequences. Complications. Dangers. I know. And you are choosing that anyway. I am choosing safety for my daughter. I am choosing to stop running. And maybe I am choosing you. Even though that terrifies me. He stepped closer. Close enough that I could feel the heat coming off him. Could smell gunpowder and copper and expensive cologne. I have wanted you since the first time I saw you in that diner. Wanted you more after you knocked me unconscious. Want you even more now after watching you try to fight two men to protect your daughter. But I need you to be sure, Elena. Because once you say yes to this, to me, I will not let you go easily. Then do not let me go at all. He kissed me. Finally. After weeks of tension and almost moments and careful distance. His hands cupped my face, careful of my injured wrists. His mouth was hungry and gentle at the same time. And I kissed him back. This criminal. This killer. This man who had somehow become my safety in a world that had tried to destroy me. When we finally pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. Welcome home, Elena. And despite everything, despite the violence and the danger and the impossibility of what we were choosing, it felt like home. It felt like exactly where I was supposed to be. The next 3 months reshaped my entire existence. I stopped pretending I was temporary. Stopped living out of bags packed for quick escapes. Luca hired movers to get my things from the old apartment. Not that there was much worth moving. Furniture that had seen better days. Clothes that had been washed too many times. Photos and memories that mattered more than any physical object. Mara adjusted faster than I expected. Children are resilient in ways adults forget. She liked having her own room that did not share walls with neighbors who fought at 3 a.m. Liked the tutors who actually made learning interesting. Liked the security that meant she never had to be scared walking home from school. She liked Luca too. That was the part that surprised me most. He was good with her. Patient. He listened when she talked about things that mattered to 10-year-olds. Never dismissed her feelings or talked down to her. Showed up to her online recitals when her school did virtual performances. Remembered details about her friends and her favorite books. One night I found them in the living room playing chess. Mara was concentrating so hard her tongue stuck out slightly. Luca was explaining strategy, showing her how to think 3 moves ahead, praising her when she saw patterns he had set up. You are going to be dangerous at this, he told her. You have the patience for it. That is rare. My mom was dangerous too. Mara moved her bishop. That is why she beat you. Luca caught my eye over her head. His expression was soft. Amused. Your mom is the most dangerous person I know. That kick still hurts when it rains. Mara giggled. Actually giggled. Like this was normal. Like living with a mob boss and learning chess, and joking about the time mom knocked him unconscious, was just how life worked now. Maybe it was. Maybe normal was whatever you got used to. My career exploded in directions I never imagined. Diana had built an empire around my viral moment. The video of me kicking Luca now had 40 million views. Brands wanted me. Fighting promotions wanted me.
Talk shows wanted me.
I said yes to some, no to others. Signed with a promotion that specialized in women's combat sports. Started training seriously again for the first time in years. Frank Castellano's gym became my second home. The place my father had trained decades ago, now training his daughter. Frank was in his 60s, moved like he was 40, hit like he was 20.
He did not go easy on me.
Did not care that I was viral famous. Just cared that I showed up and worked. You have ring rust, he told me after my first week back. Technique is still there, but your timing is off. Your conditioning is garbage. We fix that or you get hurt. So we fixed it.
6 days a week.
2 hours minimum. Drilling combinations until my body remembered them in sleep. Sparring with fighters who were younger and faster and hungrier than me. Building back the cardio that 6 years of waitressing had stolen. Luca came to watch sometimes. Stood in the back of the gym, arms crossed, just observing. Afterward, he would ask questions.
About the techniques.
The strategy. Why certain things worked and others did not. You like watching me fight, I said one day in the car heading home. I like watching you do something you love. The fighting is secondary. Liar. You like watching me hurt people. He smiled. That too. Things between us deepened in ways I had not expected. We were not just surviving together anymore. We were building something.
Slowly. Carefully.
With all the complications that came from who we were and where we came from. Some nights we would talk for hours.
About his family.
His father, who had built the empire Luca now ran. His mother, who had died when he was 12 and left a hole nothing ever filled. About growing up knowing violence was always an option. Always expected. Other nights we would not talk at all. Just exist in the same space. Him working through papers and phones and the endless maintenance of his world. Me reading or watching Mara do homework or just sitting in comfortable silence. The physical part came slowly. Deliberately. Neither of us rushed it because we both knew rushing ruined things. It started with touches. His hand on my back guiding me through a door. My fingers brushing his when passing plates at dinner. Small moments of contact that lasted a fraction longer than necessary. Then kisses.
Quick ones at first. Good night.
Good morning. Nothing demanding. Just acknowledgement that we were choosing this. Choosing each other. The first time we slept together, it was 3 months after I had stopped trying to leave. Mara was asleep. The house was quiet. We were sitting on the couch watching some movie neither of us cared about. He turned to look at me. Are you sure about this? About us? I am terrified about this. About us.
But yes.
I am sure. Terrified I can work with. He kissed me differently than before. Deeper. Hungrier. His hands in my hair. My hands pushing off his shirt. Everything escalating naturally until we were stumbling toward his bedroom, trying not to laugh, trying not to wake Mara, feeling like teenagers sneaking around. Afterward, lying in his bed with his arm around me and my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat slow back to normal, I felt something I had not felt in years. Safe. Actually safe. Not the temporary safety of locked doors and security systems. The deep safety that comes from trusting someone completely with your most vulnerable self. You okay? He asked quietly. Better than okay.
No regrets?
Ask me in the morning. Morning came. Still no regrets. But complications came too. Detective Walsh did not give up. He called every few weeks. Left messages. Sent texts. Each one a reminder that cooperating was still an option. That testimony could still put Luca away. That legal protection was available if I wanted it. I never called back. Never engaged. Just deleted the messages and tried to forget they existed. But they existed. And part of me knew that by staying silent, by choosing Luca over cooperation, I was making myself complicit. An accessory. A part of his world in ways that went beyond just living in his house. Carla stopped calling as frequently. Our conversations got shorter, more strained. She did not approve of my choices and could not hide it. Eventually, we just drifted. Lost touch the way people do when their lives go in opposite directions. I missed her. Missed having someone who knew me before all this. Who remembered Elena the waitress instead of Elena the viral fighter dating the mob boss. But I also understood. She was protecting herself, distancing from someone who had chosen danger over safety. Smart move. Sad but smart. Diana, on the other hand, loved every minute of the situation. The underdog story writes itself, she said during one of our calls. Single mother. Former fighter. Viral moment. Now training for a comeback while dating the man she knocked unconscious. Brands are eating this up. We just signed a 6-figure deal with a sports drink company. They want you as the face of their Unstoppable campaign. I do not feel unstoppable. I feel like I am one bad decision away from disaster. That is what makes you relatable. You are not some manufactured, perfect athlete. You are real.
Flawed.
Complicated.
People connect with that.
My first professional fight was scheduled for 6 months out. A prelim bout on a major card. Nothing huge but legitimate. A real test against a real opponent with everything to prove. Frank started preparing me specifically for that fight. Studying footage of my opponent. Drilling scenarios. Building game plans. She is younger, he told me. Faster. More aggressive. She will try to overwhelm you early. Make you tired. Make you doubt yourself. You need to weather that storm. Let her burn energy. Then take over in the later rounds when your experience matters. What if I cannot weather the storm? Then you lose. But you do not strike me as someone who came back after 6 years just to lose your first fight. He was right. I had not come back to lose. I had come back to prove something. To myself. To Mara. To everyone who thought my viral moment was luck. To Luca, who believed I was capable of anything I decided to pursue. 3 weeks before the fight, everything changed again. Luca came home early one afternoon. His expression was tight. Controlled. The way it got when something was very wrong.
We need to talk.
Alone. I followed him to his office. Closed the door. Waited. The feds are building a RICO case against me. Detective Walsh is leading it. They have been gathering evidence for months. Witness testimony. Financial records.
Surveillance.
They are close to having enough for an indictment. My stomach dropped. How close?
Weeks.
Maybe days. My lawyers think they will move before your fight. Maximum publicity. Make an example. What does that mean for us? It means I might be arrested.
Charged.
Looking at serious time if they can make anything stick. It means your connection to me will be scrutinized. They will want you to testify. Offer you deals. Pressure you.
Walsh already tried that.
I did not cooperate. He will try harder now. And Elena, you need to understand something. If they offer you immunity in exchange for testimony, you should take it. I stared at him. You want me to testify against you? I want you and Mara safe. If that means you cooperate with the feds and I go to prison, that is an acceptable outcome. Not to me. Listen to me. He gripped my shoulders. Really listen. I have made my choices. I have built this life knowing prison was always possible.
But you?
You have a daughter, a career, a future that does not have to include visiting me in a federal facility. If they give you an out, take it.
No. No.
I cut him off. You do not get to decide this. You do not get to sacrifice yourself and expect me to just walk away grateful. We are in this together now. Whatever comes, we face it together. That is not practical. I do not care about practical. I care about loyalty, about not abandoning people I love when things get difficult. The word hung between us.
Love.
I had not said it before, had not been ready, but it was true. Somewhere between the chess games and the training sessions and the quiet nights on the couch, I had fallen in love with him. Elena, he said quietly, you cannot love me. It is a terrible investment. Too late. Already did. You're stuck with it. He pulled me into his arms, held me tight. I felt his heart racing against my chest, felt the fear he was trying to hide. I love you too, he whispered into my hair. Which is why I need you to promise me something.
What?
If this goes bad, if I get arrested and they offer you a deal, if testifying is the only way to keep you and Mara safe, promise me you will do it. Promise me you will choose her over me. Every time. I could not promise that. Could not imagine sitting in a courtroom pointing at him, saying the words that would put him away for decades. But I also could not imagine Mara growing up visiting her mother in prison because I had been too loyal to a man who had killed people. The impossible choice crystallized in front of me. Love or safety. Loyalty or survival. The man who had saved me or the daughter who depended on me. I will do what I have to do, I said finally, to protect Mara. That is the only promise I can make. He nodded.
Kiss my forehead.
That is all I can ask for. 2 days later, at 6 in the morning, federal agents surrounded the house. They came with warrants, with cameras, with enough force to make a statement. Luca was arrested in the kitchen while making coffee. They read him his rights, handcuffed him, walked him out past me and Mara, who were being held in the living room by agents, making sure we did not interfere. Mara was crying. I was trying not to. Luca caught my eye as they led him toward the door. He did not look scared, just resigned, like he had been expecting this moment his entire life.
Take care of her, he said.
Not to the agents.
To me.
I will. Then he was gone. Into federal custody, facing charges that could put him away for life. And I was left standing in his house with his men and his lawyers and federal agents, trying to figure out how to survive what came next. The impossible choice was not theoretical anymore. It was standing right in front of me, demanding an answer. And I had no idea what the right answer was. The detention hearing was scheduled for 3 days after Luca's arrest. His lawyers were confident. Federal cases moved slowly. Evidence had to be examined. Witness lists had to be disclosed. There would be time to build a defense, poke holes in the prosecution's case, negotiate outcomes. But first, they had to convince a judge that Luca was not a flight risk, that he would show up for trial, that he deserved bail despite being charged with racketeering, conspiracy, and accessory to murder. I sat in the courtroom with Mara, surrounded by reporters and sketch artists and people who made a living documenting other people's disasters. Luca's family filled 2 rows. Men in expensive suits with hard eyes. Women in designer clothes with harder expressions. They acknowledged me with small nods. Not warm, not hostile, just aware. I was the girlfriend, the viral video girl, the wild card in their family's crisis. Luca was led in wearing an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs. He looked tired. 3 days in detention had added shadows under his eyes and tension to his jaw. But when he saw me, something softened. Just for a moment. Just enough for me to see that he was still in there. Still the man who played chess with my daughter and watched me train and told me I was capable of anything. The prosecution made their case. Luca Leonardo was dangerous. Connected. Had the resources and motivation to flee the country. Had a history of violence and intimidation. Represented an ongoing threat to witnesses and the community. Detective Walsh testified. Detailed the investigation. The wiretaps and surveillance and financial forensics that had built their case. He did not look at me once. Smart. He knew I was the weakness in their strategy. The witness who could cement everything but had not cooperated yet. Then it was the defense's turn. Luca's lawyer argued that his client was a respected businessman. Legitimate investments. No prior convictions. Strong ties to the community. A stable relationship with a family that depended on him. He called me to testify. I was not expecting it. Had not prepared. But I walked to the stand anyway, was sworn in, sat down facing a courtroom full of people waiting to judge every word. Luca's lawyer was smooth, professional, made it seem natural. Ms. Rossi, how long have you known Luca Leonardo? About 4 months. And during that time, what has been the nature of your relationship? We are partners, romantically involved. He lives with me and my daughter. Has he ever been violent toward you or your child?
No.
Never. Has he given you any indication that he would flee the jurisdiction if released?
No.
He has been completely transparent about facing these charges, about cooperating with legal proceedings. The prosecutor stood for cross-examination. A woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and sharper questions. Ms. Rossi, you are aware that Mr. Leonardo is charged with multiple felonies including accessory to murder? I am aware. And you are comfortable having a man accused of such crimes living with your 10-year-old daughter? I hesitated. The question was designed to make me look either naive or complicit. Either way, I lost. I believe people are innocent until proven guilty. And in the time I have known Luca, he has been nothing but protective and kind to my daughter. Protective? The prosecutor smiled. Like when he killed 3 men who had kidnapped you and your daughter. The courtroom erupted. Reporters leaned forward. Family members shifted. The judge banged his gavel. Objection. Luca's lawyer was on his feet. That incident was self-defense and has not been charged. Goes to character, Your Honor. The prosecution maintains that Mr. Leonardo has a pattern of violence that makes him a danger to the community. I will allow it. The judge looked at me. Ms. Rossi, you may answer. I took a breath.
Yes.
Luca killed the men who kidnapped me and my daughter. He rescued us, brought us home, made sure we were safe. I do not know what you call that in legal terms, but I call it protection. I call it someone doing what needed to be done when no one else could or would. The prosecutor's expression tightened. And you do not think that kind of violence, that willingness to kill, makes him dangerous? I think dangerous depends on who you are. To his enemies, yes, he is dangerous. To me and my daughter, he is safety. Even though he is a known criminal? Alleged criminal. He has not been convicted of anything. But you are aware of his reputation. His family's business. What he is accused of doing. I am aware that the world is more complicated than good and evil. That sometimes the people who protect you are the same people who hurt others. That survival sometimes requires making choices that do not fit into neat moral categories. The prosecutor stared at me, trying to figure out if I was defending him out of love or fear or something else. No further questions. I stepped down, walked back to my seat. Mara grabbed my hand and squeezed. She did not understand everything happening, but she understood I had stood up for someone we cared about. The judge took an hour to deliberate. When he returned, his expression was neutral, professional. Bail is set at $5 million. Mr. Leonardo will be released under house arrest with electronic monitoring. He is not to leave the state, not to contact potential witnesses, not to engage in any business activities related to the charges. Violations will result in immediate remand to custody. Next court date is set for 6 weeks from today. Luca was released that afternoon. His family posted bail within an hour. The ankle monitor was fitted. The conditions were explained. And by evening, he was back in the house, standing in the kitchen like the last 3 days had not happened. Except everything had happened. And nothing would be the same. That night, after Mara was asleep, we finally talked.
You did not have to defend me, he said.
In court. You could have stayed silent. Let my lawyers handle it. You are not handling this alone. I told you that. Elena, this is going to get worse before it gets better. The prosecution will dig into everything. My business.
My past.
My connections. They will interview everyone I have ever known. And they will pressure you. Hard. Offer you deals. Threaten charges if you do not cooperate. I know. You need to start thinking about what you will do when they make that offer. I already know what I will do. He waited. I am going to tell them the truth. Not their truth. Not your truth. Just what actually happened. What I saw. What I experienced. And let them build their case around that. That could still hurt me. I know. But it will not be lies. It will not be betrayal. It will just be facts. What they do with those facts is their job. Not mine. He pulled me close. Rested his chin on top of my head. I do not deserve you. Probably not. But you are stuck with me anyway. The next 5 weeks were the strangest of my life. Luca was under house arrest, which meant he was home constantly. His men came and went, conducting business in his office. His lawyers prepared for trial. His family checked in daily, making sure he was holding up. And I trained. Every day.
6 days a week.
My fight was 2 weeks after the next court date. Horrible timing. Frank wanted to push it back, but I refused. Life does not stop because Luca got arrested. I still have a career. Still have something to prove. You're going to be distracted. Then I will fight distracted. Would not be the first time I did something hard while my world was falling apart. The prosecution did exactly what Luca predicted. They came after me. Detective Walsh showed up at the gym one afternoon while I was training. "We need to talk, Ms. Rossi." Officially. I kept hitting the heavy bag. "Talk about what?" "About your testimony. About what you are willing to say in court. About whether you understand the consequences of protecting a criminal." "I am not protecting anyone. I am just living my life." "You are living in his house. Raising your daughter in a criminal environment. That makes you complicit. An accessory. We could charge you too if we wanted." I stopped hitting the bag. Turned to face him. "Then charge me." "Do it. See how that plays in the media. Single mother gets arrested for defending the man who saved her life. See how many witnesses line up to help you after that." He had no response. Just stood there looking frustrated and tired, and like he had been fighting this battle too long. "He is not a good man, Elena. Whatever you think you know about him, however he treats you, it does not erase what he has done. The people he has hurt. The lives he has destroyed. I know he is not a good man. But he is my man. And I am not going to destroy him to make your case easier." Walsh left. Came back 2 more times with different approaches.
Threats.
Offers. Appeals to my sense of justice and responsibility. I said no every time. The second court date arrived. This time for preliminary hearings. Evidence disclosure. Witness lists. I sat in the same courtroom. Same reporters. Same family members. Same feeling that we were all watching something inevitable unfold. The prosecution laid out their case. Recordings of conversations. Financial transactions showing money laundering. Testimony from former associates who had flipped. Forensic evidence linking Luca to various crimes over the last 5 years. It was damning. Comprehensive. The kind of case that took years to build and usually resulted in convictions. But it had one weakness. No direct evidence of murder.
No bodies.
No witnesses to the Riverside massacre. Just circumstantial connections and testimony from people with credibility issues. Luca's lawyers pounced on that. Argued that circumstantial evidence was not enough. That cooperating witnesses had motivation to lie. That financial transactions could be explained legitimately. The judge listened to both sides. Then made his ruling. Trial is set for 4 months from today. Both sides will have adequate time to prepare. Bail conditions remain in effect. Mr. Leonardo is to continue complying with house arrest and monitoring requirements. For months. 4 months until a jury decided if Luca went to prison for the rest of his life or walked free. 4 months to prepare for my fight.
To train.
To focus. To somehow compartmentalize the fact that the man I loved might be taken away permanently. My fight happened first. 2 weeks after the second hearing. A prelim bout on a major card. Broadcast live. Thousands of people in the arena. Millions watching on screens. The biggest moment of my comeback. And the worst possible timing. Frank cornered me the day before. "You ready?"
No.
"But I am fighting anyway." Mental state matters, Elena. If you are not focused, you will get hurt. I have been getting hurt my entire life. This is just another version of it.
He did not look convinced.
But he did not pull me from the fight either. Just made me promise to be smart. To protect myself. To quit if things went too badly wrong. Luca was not allowed to attend. House arrest. Electronic monitoring. He had to watch from home like everyone else. The night before the fight, we lay in bed together. His arm around me. My head on his chest. Both of us awake. Both of us thinking about what came next. "Win or lose tomorrow," he said quietly, "I am proud of you. For coming back. For not letting fear stop you. For being brave enough to fight even when everything else is chaos. I am terrified." Good. Fear means you care. Means it matters. What if I lose? Then you lose.
And you learn from it.
And you fight again. That is how this works. What if you go to prison? Then I go to prison. And you keep living. Keep raising Mara. Keep fighting. Keep being the person you fought so hard to become. I do not want to do this without you. You have been doing hard things without support your entire life. You will survive me being gone. You will be okay. But I do not want to just survive. I want to actually live. With you. He kissed the top of my head. Then let me see you fight tomorrow. Let me watch you do what you were born to do. Give me that before whatever happens happens. The next day I walked into that arena like I was walking into war. My opponent was younger.
Faster. Hungrier.
Everything Frank said she would be. The first round was brutal. She came out aggressive, throwing combinations faster than I could counter. I covered up, weathered the storm, took shots that made my head ring and my vision blur. But I did not go down. Second round, she started slowing, burning energy, getting frustrated that I was still standing, still there, still waiting. Third round, I took over. My experience showed. My technique. The muscle memory from 10 years of training that had been sleeping but never died. I caught her with a combination my father had drilled into me 1,000 times. Jab to set up distance. Cross to make her react. Hook to the body to drop her guard. Then the high kick. The same one that had knocked out Luca. It connected clean. She went down. Not unconscious, but hurt.
Wobbly.
The referee stopped the fight.
Cool.
Third round. I had won. The crowd exploded. My corner rushed in. Frank was yelling something I could not hear over the noise. And all I could think about was Luca watching from home.
Seeing me win.
Knowing that we had both survived another day. The post-fight interview was a blur. Questions about my comeback. About training. About what was next. And one question I had been dreading. Your boyfriend, Luca Leonardo, is facing federal charges. How do you balance your career with supporting him through that? I looked directly at the camera, knowing he was watching, knowing Mara was watching, knowing millions of people were waiting for my answer. Luca believes in me. He has supported my comeback from the beginning, and I believe in him, in his right to a fair trial, in his innocence until proven guilty, and in standing by people you love when things get hard. That is not complicated. That is just loyalty. The reporter tried to follow up, but my team pulled me away, ushered me backstage, away from questions I did not want to answer. My phone was already flooded with messages by the time I checked it. Diana.
Carla.
People I had not talked to in months. Reporters.
Fans.
Haters. And one from Luca. You were perfect. Absolutely perfect. I love you. I smiled. Exhausted. Hurting. Victorious. For months until his trial. For months to prepare for the fight that actually mattered. The one that would determine if we had a future together or if I would be visiting him in prison for the next 20 years. But tonight I had won.
And that was enough.
The trial lasted 3 weeks. 3 weeks of testimony and evidence and legal arguments that slowly built toward a verdict none of us could predict. The prosecution was thorough, methodical. They presented their case like architects building a structure, each piece of evidence supporting the next. But Luca's defense team was better. They dismantled witnesses, exposed inconsistencies, created reasonable doubt in everything the prosecution claimed was certain. And they did it without Luca having to testify, without putting him on the stand where cross-examination could destroy him. I was called to testify on day 14. The defense wanted me to humanize Luca, show the jury that he was more than the criminal the prosecution had painted, that he had relationships, cared about people, had depth beyond violence and money. I told them about the chess games with Mara, about how he had protected us when we were in danger, about the man I had come to know over the last 8 months. The prosecution's cross-examination was brutal. They tried to paint me as naive, as someone blinded by love who could not see what was obvious to everyone else. They brought up my viral video, suggested I had Stockholm Syndrome, that I was defending my captor. But I did not break, did not waver, just told the truth as I knew it. Luca Leonardo had never been anything but protective and honest with me. Whatever he had done in his past, whatever crimes he might have committed, did not change the fact that he had saved my life and my daughter's life. And I was not going to pretend otherwise to make their case easier. When I stepped down, I caught Luca's eye. He mouthed, "Thank you," and I nodded. That was all we could do. All we were allowed in that formal space with its rules and procedures and consequences. The jury deliberated for 2 days. 2 days of waiting. Of sitting in the courthouse hallway with Luca's family. Of checking my phone constantly even though there was nothing to check. Of trying to prepare myself for either outcome. If he was convicted, we had already discussed the plan. I would keep training. Keep fighting. Keep building my career so Mara had stability. Visit him as often as allowed. Write letters. Stay connected. Wait for appeals. If he was acquitted, we would figure out what normal looked like. If normal was even possible after everything. The jury returned on a Thursday afternoon. The courtroom filled faster than I had ever seen. Everyone wanted to witness the verdict. The moment that would define what happened next. Luca stood as the judge entered. I sat behind him, close enough to touch if the bailiffs had not been watching. Close enough to feel the tension in his shoulders. The fear he was trying to hide. The jury foreman stood. On the charge of racketeering, how do you find? Not guilty. On the charge of conspiracy, how do you find? Not guilty. On the charge of accessory to murder, how do you find? Not guilty. The courtroom exploded. Family members shouted. Reporters rushed out to file stories. The judge banged his gavel demanding order. Luca's lawyers were hugging each other. His family was celebrating. And he just stood there, motionless, like he could not quite believe it was over. The judge dismissed him, removed all restrictions, ended the house arrest and monitoring, released him back into his life. Luca turned to me. His expression was stunned, grateful, overwhelmed. We won, he said quietly. You won. I just showed up. He pulled me into his arms right there in the courtroom, not caring who saw or what they thought. Just holding me like I was the only real thing in a world that had suddenly become uncertain. Outside, we were swarmed by reporters. Questions shouted from every direction. Cameras flashing. Microphones thrust forward. Luca's lawyer handled it. Made a brief statement about justice being served. About faith in the system. About looking forward to moving past this difficult chapter. We did not answer questions. Just got into the waiting car and left. Back to the house. Back to Mara, who had been staying with Luca's sister during the trial. Back to some version of normal. That night, after Mara was asleep, after the calls and texts and celebrations had finally died down, Luca and I sat in the kitchen. Just us. Finally. What happens now? I asked. Now we live. Actually live. Not in crisis mode. Not waiting for the other shoe to drop. Just normal life. I do not think we are capable of normal. He smiled. Probably not. But we can try. Over the next 6 months, we did try. I fought twice more. Won both times. Built a legitimate record. Earned respect in the fighting community that had nothing to do with viral videos and everything to do with actual skill. Diana negotiated a major sponsorship deal. A sports brand wanted me as their face for a new women's athletic line. The contract was 7 figures over 3 years. More money than I had ever imagined having. I bought a house. Not one of Luca's properties. My own. With a yard for Mara and a garage I converted into a home gym. A place that was mine. That I had earned. That nobody could take away. Luca and I dated properly. Dinners out. Movies. Normal couple things that we had never had time for before. We took it slow. Rebuilt what we had started under pressure into something sustainable. He stepped back from his family's business. Not completely. He could not completely walk away from that world. But he delegated more. Created distance. Started investing in legitimate ventures that did not require violence or intimidation. He was trying to change. Become someone who could exist in my world without dragging me down into his. Mara started 5th grade in a new school near our house. Made friends. Joined clubs. Did normal kid things. She still saw Luca regularly. He still taught her chess and listened to her stories and showed up for her recitals. But the intensity had eased. The danger had receded. She could just be a kid again. 1 year after that brick came through my window, we all went to dinner at a nice restaurant downtown.
Mara, me, Luca.
Just the 3 of us. Celebrating nothing in particular. just being together. Halfway through the meal, Mara looked at Luca. Are you going to marry my mom? He choked on his water. I froze with my fork halfway to my mouth. Mara, I started.
What?
She looked genuinely confused. You love each other. You are together all the time. That is what people do when they love each other. They get married. Luca recovered first. That is a conversation your mom and I need to have privately. But thank you for the input. We'll have it soon. Because I like you, and I do not want you to leave. I am not going anywhere, he promised. Regardless of marital status. Later that night, after I had dropped Mara at home and driven to Luca's place, he brought it up. She is not wrong. About marriage. About making this official. Luca, we do not have to rush anything. I am not rushing. I am just acknowledging what we both know. That this is permanent. That we are building a life together. That eventually, we should probably make it legal. Eventually, I agreed. But not yet. Let us just enjoy this. Being normal. Being us. Without federal trials or death threats or kidnappings. He pulled me close. I can do normal. For a while. But eventually, I am going to ask you properly. With the ring. And you should probably start thinking about your answer. I already know my answer.
Yeah? What is it?
Ask me properly and find out. He smiled. Challenge accepted. 6 months later, he did ask.
Properly.
With a ring that was beautiful and tasteful and probably cost more than my first car. We were in the backyard of my house. Mara was inside doing homework. It was just us in the garden I had been trying to grow, surrounded by plants that were slowly learning to thrive. Elena Rossi, he said, getting down on one knee, you knocked me unconscious in a warehouse. Made me fall in love. Defended me in federal court. Built a life that I am honored to be part of. Will you marry me? Yes.
No hesitación.
No doubt. Just yes. We told Mara that night. She screamed. Actually screamed with joy. Then immediately started planning the wedding in her head, talking about dresses and flowers and whether she could be the maid of honor, even though she was only 11. We got married 6 months after that.
Small ceremony. Close family.
A few friends. Nothing extravagant. Just us making promises to each other in front of people who mattered. I wore a simple dress.
Luca wore a suit.
Mara cried happy tears. Carla came, her first time seeing me in over a year, and hugged me so hard I could barely breathe. I am proud of you, she whispered. For surviving. For building this. For being happy. The reception was at Luca's family estate. Music and food and dancing, and all the joy that comes from people who have fought through hell together and come out the other side. Frank made a toast. To Elena, who proved that champions are not born, they are made. Through struggle and sacrifice, and refusing to quit even when quitting would be easier. Congratulations, kid. Your father would be proud. That made me cry. Luca handed me his handkerchief and kissed my temple and just let me feel it. The grief and pride and overwhelming gratitude that I had made it here. To this moment. To this life. We honeymooned in Italy. 2 weeks of coast and countryside and history. Mara stayed with Luca's sister and reportedly had the time of her life being spoiled by cousins and aunts. When we came back, life settled into something that almost resembled normal. I trained. Fought occasionally. Did sponsorship obligations. Built my career. Luca ran his businesses. Legitimate ones now, mostly. Some gray areas remained, but nothing that kept me up at night. Nothing that felt like betrayal of who I was trying to be. And we raised Mara together. Helped with homework. Attended school events. Had family dinners. Did all the ordinary things that extraordinary circumstances had almost stolen from us. 2 years after we got married, I won a championship belt. Middleweight division. A real title fight against a real champion. I trained for 6 months. Studied footage. Built game plans. Worked harder than I had ever worked. And I won. Decision after 5 rounds. Close fight. Technical. Strategic. Everything my father had taught me coming together in one perfect performance. Luca and Mara were ringside. When the decision was announced, when the referee raised my hand, I looked down and saw them. My family. The people who had believed in me when I stopped believing in myself. After the fight, after the interviews and photos and celebrations, we went home. Just the three of us. Ordered pizza. Sat on the couch. Watched my daughter fall asleep between us, her head on my lap, her feet on Luca's legs. This is it, he said quietly. This is everything I never knew I wanted. I looked at him, at the man who had started as a threat and become my safety, who had offered me an impossible choice and then made every choice after that possible. Thank you, I said. For what?
For seeing me.
For believing in me. For giving me a reason to fight when I had forgotten how. You always knew how to fight, Elena. You just needed permission to stop pretending you did not. He was right. Everything that happened, from that first kick in the warehouse to this moment on my couch with my family, had been about reclaiming pieces of myself I had buried. About becoming the fighter and mother and partner I was always capable of being. The journey had been brutal,
Terrifying.
complicated, but it had led me here.
To peace.
To love. To a life I had built with my own hands and refused to let anyone take from me. So where are we now? Wherever you are reading this, watching this, listening to this story. How is the weather there? Did you stick with me through all of it? I hope you did. I hope my story gave you something. Entertainment, maybe. Or hope. Or just proof that people are complicated and life does not follow neat narratives. If you enjoyed this, let me know. Leave a comment.
Hit subscribe.
Share this with someone who needs to hear that comeback stories are real. That you can survive the worst things and build something beautiful on the other side. I have more stories to tell. More fights to win. More life to live. But this chapter, this wild, impossible chapter that started with a scratched car and ended with a championship belt, this one is complete. And I would not change a single moment of it. Not even the parts that hurt. Especially not those. Because pain is what taught me who I was. And love is what taught me who I could become. Thank you for being here. For listening. For caring about the story of a waitress who became a fighter, who became a wife, who became a champion. Until next time, stay strong. Stay brave. And remember that sometimes the person trying to control you is actually the person who will set you free.
Take care of yourselves out there.
This is Elena Leonardo, signing off.